Have you ever felt stuck between who you are and who you want to become? Like you can visualize your transformation, but you're not quite sure how to bridge that gap between concept and reality. In episode 60, which I highly recommend to listen to before continuing, something I mentioned in my accountability update is the knowledge doing gap. Before I continue, I should probably introduce myself. Hi, my name is Elijah, but you can call me Lay. Welcome back to A Little Atypical, where we dive into all things wellness, personal development, and lifestyle topics. I just love to talk about the things I'm currently reflecting on or I've just been observing for fun. So back to the topic. The knowing doing gap is the disconnect between what we know we should do and what we actually put into practice. That frustrating space, where we have all the information we need, but somehow we can't translate it into consistent action. We read the books, watch the videos, take the courses, but implementation remains our biggest challenge. This gap is relevant when it comes to personal rebranding because transformation requires more than just inspiration. It demands sustained action. Many of us get stuck in an endless cycle of planning and researching without ever taking the real first step towards change. In this episode, we're coming together to explore the execution process of rebranding, especially for those of you feeling stuck, discouraged, or simply stagnant right now. If you're someone who loves creating Pinterest boards, vision boards, or lists, but then find yourself hesitating to take the next step, this is for you. I know how disoriented it feels to be in that limbo, Think of this episode as us cozying up together with our journals, creating the blueprint that will gently guide us from vision to reality. I'll share actionable inspiration, personal touches, practical steps that honor both your dreams and your comfort during the transformation. At the end, I'm kind of going to summarize, but here and there where I could, I will sprinkle things I did during the beginning of the fall. This was supposed to come out in September. Some of the information is not exactly the same, but I still wanted to kind of honor what I said I was going to do, which is why I'm still following the vision. Everyone knows change happens when you actually show up and do the small, consistent actions day by day, even when motivation just isn't there or things kind of pop up when it's not expected. It's all about the human experience. So we'll be breaking this episode down by exploring 4 key areas, which there probably is more, but these are the things I personally wanted to highlight. So the physical, doing the foundation things to focus on the rebrand, the boosters, the bonus and fun things we focus on for the rebrand, aura, and in this case, I'm kind of using aura as describing more of an expression and attitude. And the last part I'm going to do is energy, which is more about behavior and your capacity to do them. So grab your journal and your drink of choice. Mine's personally is the vanilla pistachio protein chai I always make. And let's dive in. So let's start with routines, which is the backbone of any rebrand. I know we heard this many times. The truth is most of us have responsibilities that aren't flexible with time. Work schedules, family commitments, school. The key is working around these fixed points to build meaningful routines. When I talk about routines, I want to highlight something often overlooked: the relationship between weekends and weekdays. You know how experts always say to improve your morning routine, you should first look at your evening routine? The same principle applies for your week. To improve your weekdays, take a good look at how you're spending your weekends. This is where I believe many of us go wrong. We often fall into either these 2 weekend traps, either cramming them with errands and chores we could not finish during the week, or having no structure whatsoever. Both approaches contribute to why people struggle to maintain their goals long term. Weekends don't derail us because we're less quote-unquote productive. They become problematic when we swing from rigid overscheduling and complete lack of structure, leaving us unprepared for Monday's return to routine. I'm going to share a very simplified version of your weekday framework. You have your morning routine, 6 to 8 hours of core responsibilities. And when I say this, I'm talking about school, work, like things you cannot change. And then an evening routine, right? This is a very, very general schedule. For your routine to be effective to support your rebrand, clarify the purpose behind each one. Are your mornings dedicated to health, connecting with loved ones, spiritual practice before the day unfolds? You know, for me and the person I live with is like so different. Her morning routine is a big chunk of practicing her faith, taking care of her health in the best way she could, and nourishing, right? My morning routine is kind of different from that. My morning routine consists of cooking for the both of us, like obviously the hygiene things. It is exercise and also cleaning. Like those are the core things I like to do before my responsibilities really start. Take care of myself, doing anything that is kind of in the realms of self-nurturing. And I've talked about that already 10 million times, so I don't need to go into it again. But if you want to hear more details on that, I talked about it in episode 58. Anyways, remember that consistency matters more than the quantity of how you do things. You don't need to journal both morning and night to reap the benefits. If morning devotion works better for you than reflecting in the evening, honor that preference. Most people realistically have just 30 to 90 minutes for a morning routine. And while content creators, students, and I should specify college students, and remote workers might enjoy more flexibility, that is also not a typical experience. In my case, working from home meant I still woke up around 4:30, rarely by choice. I just can never stay asleep that long. By 7:30 to about 7:45, I'm done with that routine, which gives me enough time for a quick nap before work, and when I wake up, I get my caffeine fix to keep my energy up. When I had a commute, fitting a nap just wasn't possible. This is one of the unexpected benefits from working from home. Just being able to recharge quickly before starting my workday helped me so much to maintain my energy. So, my morning routine, by that definition, spans to about 3 hours, but I am realistic enough to know that that is just not typical. It is not everyone's average experience, especially when you have to drive, you have kids, and something I'm kind of sick about is like in wellness spaces, people typically like tell you like all these advice, all these things to do in the morning without the consideration that their workday is a lot more flexible than yours. So I'm not saying you can't do all those things, but my advice is to just choose 3 priorities that fit into your available morning time. And if you struggle to move in the mornings quickly, consider extending your evening routine to like earlier in the evening if you can, so that you can fall asleep earlier and wake up less groggy. For weekends, yes, you'll still have responsibilities, whether it's like cleaning, groceries, errands. But if you try this approach, if you try incorporating small tasks into your daily routines, weekend responsibilities might only need 3 to 4 hours each day instead of consuming the entire day. And with that freed up time to reimagine other parts of your weekday structure into your weekend. And when I say this, I'm saying like switch up your regular exercise routine with something more playful that weekdays don't allow, like basketball with friends, taking a Zumba class, going hiking, going on a bike ride. Choose activities different from your regular routine and Ideally, if you can, do them with friends for added social benefits. While we socialize during the week, it's often more filtered and constrained. Weekends offer space for more carefree connection. The sweet spot is finding balance, enough structure to feel purposeful, but enough flexibility to feel refreshed rather than treating weekends as just an extension of your work week. So, the next part of the foundation I wanted to mention is mindful consumption, because your rebrand isn't just about how you spend your time, it's also about what you consume. And this includes food, the beverages you choose, but also digital consumption. I've been experimenting with eating times and increasing my water intake, especially first thing in the morning. The difference in my energy levels has improved. As for digital consumption, I've started setting specific windows for social media and news, which has drastically reduced my anxiety and improved my focus. Consider auditing all forms of consumption in your life: what you eat, drink, read, watch, listen to. Each shapes your energy and mindset more than we realize. And moving on to hygiene practices. And hygiene seems self explanatory. There is a difference between basic maintenance and the kind of intentional self care that supports a personal rebrand. So, what I'm referring to here is for you to think about your shower routine, the daily shower versus the quote unquote everything shower. When you deep condition, exfoliate, and just do all the works. Consider your oral care, skin care, hair care, and the products you are using. Are they aligning with the person you're becoming? Next, fitness. Of course, movement is medicine, and incorporating intentional fitness into your rebrand isn't just about aesthetics, it's about energy, confidence, and mental clarity. So, even in a course I'm taking now, I am taking the Coursera course, Learning How to Learn, among the other ones. I mentioned this before. So, in this course, they talk about exercise and how I think they said something along the lines how it's like the perfect way to kind of take a step back, and it allows you to form new ideas when you're doing something, it's challenging, and you just need to do something, move to kind of just change your focus, and so you can find solutions to what you're doing. So currently, I'm focusing on less intense workouts and more of the consistency with activities I enjoy. I had to take a step back from certain movements. It just was exhausting me physically too much. And I think I need more time to build up to it rather than just, keep doing something and it's like making me feel worse in the day to day. Because I think one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to fitness movement, that area, is they try to take on too much at once. And it's just kind of a crazy thing, because I was even talking to my brother and he was saying that he wants to gain more muscle and he's trying to eat more, and how that's been really hard for him. I said, slowly add a little more calories into each of your meals. Don't try to hit that goal all the way, because he was saying he needs like 2,000 and something to be able to build muscle. So he needs to be in a surplus. And I said, it's kind of like the same thing. Like, people need to do things little by little and build up to things, because I do think when we don't, we kind of get into this headspace of rushing. It just doesn't serve us in the long run. The last thing I want to mention, of course, is rest. In our society, rest often gets sacrificed, but quality rest is essential for any successful transformation. In terms of myself, I'm working on improving my sleep hygiene by just keeping electronics away from me after a certain point of time, and trying to establish a wind down ritual that signals, oh, it's time to rest. I'm also experimenting with different forms of rest, because there's so many different forms of rest. From there's physical rest, mental rest, emotional rest, social rest, and creative rest, that we don't realize that we don't rest enough in our day. And that's also why when we try to sleep and then it's cut into such short periods of time that we don't really get effective sleep. Moving on to the next category, which is the boosters, enhancing your external presentation. So, first thing I'm of course going to mention is hairstyling. Your hair makes a statement before you speak. I grew up with the saying, your hair is your beauty. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but consistently my mom always said that. So for this fall, I'm choosing braids rather than my usual hairstyle when I get my hair done, which is sew-ins. The last time I got sew-ins was actually during this season. I became irritated by it. So this time around, I am choosing braids because I appreciate that braids are easier for me to remove on my own. And honestly, it makes me feel more empowered to wear braids, because at one point I did wear braids like all the time. Then someone made a comment. The comment really struck me hard. So then I started doing sew-ins. So now when it comes to wanting to feel empowered again, I just so happen to choose braids. Next, of course, I have to mention nails. I always get my nails done around this time of year because there's something about a well manicured hand that makes me feel put together even on days when nothing else feels in place. Whether you prefer bold designs, classic French manicures, or just simply well groomed natural nails, this small detail can significantly enhance your presentation. In my case, for this year, I wanted a very fall tone. So, like a mix of neutral but a pop of a berry reddish color. So, my nails were, of course, I love almond shaped nails. So, I got polka dots on two nails. Then, I got a dark brown color on my pointer finger. And this, it's like a grayish brown. I think it's called toupe. I'm pretty sure that's the type of brown. But I got that on my ring finger. And then on my middle finger, I got a design with basically, it's kind of like a French tip, but it's kind of a subtle French tip. And it has like stars on them. Next, of course, when it comes to fashion, I think fashion really speaks to what you're focusing on in life. I'm currently focusing on professional wear while trying to find ways to inject personality without compromising how seriously I'm taken. Because in this moment, it's just very important because I do have a very youthful appearance. For one, I am very short. I am a short girl. And then my face is very round and full. So whenever I don't do my makeup, or if I don't have form fitting clothes and I'm wearing something baggy like a hoodie or like sweatpants, whatever, I always get mistaken for younger. So now at almost 24, while I can acknowledge I don't know everything, constantly being looked at as not an adult is pretty exhausting. And I feel like that's the number one thing that holds me back from the type of life I'm trying to build, because people are not taking me seriously. Next thing I want to add for this segment, this area, is scent choices. Just never underestimate the power of scent. This is probably one of the most fun actions to take in your personal rebrand, because as a girl who loves scent, and yes, I know this is not for everyone, it is just something I prioritize. If you aren't a vanilla gourmand girl, it's completely okay to honor that. If you hate strong scents and prefer light, airy, clean notes, don't waste your money on something just because all the quote unquote it girls are wearing them. Spend your money on what genuinely appeals to you. And while experimenting is incredibly fun, it's important to give yourself permission to stop sometimes to save money. Consider seasonal adjustments to your fragrance wardrobe, but also remember that scent isn't just perfume. It also includes your laundry detergent, body washes, home environment, and you can use all of that to kind of signal to your brain, like, oh, this is a new time for me, this is who I'm becoming. And now we're on to the next part, which is cultivating your aura. Expression and attitude. Your aura, how you express yourself both verbally and non-verbally, creates immediate impressions that can either attract or repel connections and opportunity. This is where I want to share a hot take. There's nothing fake about being intentional with how you present yourself in different contexts. Let's be honest. The idea of always being real that's so popular today is kind of misguided. No one is 100% the same person every situation. You naturally show different sides of yourself to your family, coworkers, partners, and acquaintances. Even you only see certain sides of yourself. This selective presentation isn't being fake, it's being socially intelligent. I've been mindful of my body language and facial expressions, especially in professional settings, not because I'm being inauthentic, but because I understand the power of nonverbal communication. And similarly, I'm working on my attitude by practicing daily gratitude to shift from scarcity to abundance thinking. Because as much as I practice it, repetition is what makes something stick. And I do have moments of slipping up, of kind of spiraling into negative thoughts. I also remember what I have to do to get out of it. But this internal work manifests externally in how I carry myself and interact with other people. Being charismatic or charming, which has become a huge topic in the strategic girly space, isn't about code switching or changing your personality to be liked. It's about understanding social dynamics and choosing which authentic parts of yourself to highlight in different situations. The most magnetic people are those who remain true to their values while adapting their expression to the context. And last thing, I so apologize if you hear in the background, I think they're doing garden work right now. But anyways, energy management. Your aura reflects how others see you, while energy management kind of ensures your rebrand lasts. Okay? The way you navigate life through your behaviors and habits creates ripples affecting everything around you. In a future episode, I'll dive deeper into behavior change, because that is often the most uncomfortable part of rebranding, where many people struggle feeling like they're acting or performing, but becoming who you want to be isn't about performing. It's intentional growth aligned with your true self. While we covered some behaviors in the physical section, energy management focuses more on the intention and awareness behind those actions. Remember that your personal capacity for those behavior changes can be expanded, but must also be respected. I'm currently learning to distinguish between stretching myself for growth and pushing beyond healthy measures. So this means being realistic about what I can accomplish in a given time frame. It involves declining opportunities that I don't think align with my priorities, even when they're tempting. Ultimately, energy management is what balances what you aspire to do with what you can sustainably maintain. And the thing is, I think many of us forget like some things that we are doing is just not forever. Like when you are going to college, that is not forever. That is however time it takes you to fulfill your credit requirements. When you are learning even outside of school, it is not forever. It is how long it takes. But sometimes we kind of fall in a trap like, oh, we have to do this, that, everything at once and try to be a superhuman. And it just doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to recap everything just to simplify. So if you're writing things down, this will be the section that makes it easiest. So, first thing, the foundation and the physical. Create intentional daily and weekly routines that respect your responsibilities while making space for growth. Be mindful about what you consume, both physically and digitally. Elevate your self care practices from basic maintenance to intentional rituals. Find movement that energizes you rather than depletes you. Prioritize restorative rest across all dimensions, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, social, and creative rest. And it will also help you to know the different type of cycles that work best for you. Something new that I recently learned was there are different, like, there's monophasic sleep and then biphasic sleep. And when you look into that, like the different phases of sleep that some people may or may not have, it really sparks something in your brain that you notice, like, oh, I sleep like this naturally, and monophasic sleeping isn't for me. But I digress. Next, choose hairstyles that complement both your face and your lifestyle needs. Use nail care as a small but significant detail in your overall presentation. Develop a wardrobe that communicates your desired perception while honoring your personality. And select signature scents that genuinely appeal to you rather than following a trend. And I would also like to add, you can even switch this out seasonally. Next, I kind of combined the last two. So your essence, refine verbal and nonverbal communication to align with your authentic self across contexts. Manage your energy intentionally by respecting your capacity while strategically expanding it. Practice speaking to yourself with compassion and extend that kindness to others. So, to wrap it up, I just want to remind you that this whole rebrand thing is not going to happen overnight. All these little things we've been yapping about, chatting about, they're all pieces of the puzzle that make up the you you're becoming. And no one gets it right all the time. And I will like to throw this in because sometimes we do feel guilty that we don't always align with that. And it takes a lot of practice. Some days you're going to hit snooze instead of doing your morning routine. And there will absolutely be days when you just can't, you know? The real glow up happens in how you bounce back, not being perfect 24/7. So give yourself some grace, dream big about who you want to be, but also be your own best friend to anchor you if things don't go exactly as planned. So, since I started with a question, I'm going to end with one. I'm curious about what part of all this spoke to you the most. Are you excited to try something specific first? What do you think might trip you up along the way? Also, since this was meant to be like a broad idea, if you think there are other important elements that are so important to the rebrand process, you can comment it because I love hearing other people's perspective because as humans, we all have our blind spots. That's all for today. Now, let's move on to what I'm grateful for. Something I'm currently grateful for is the fact that I know how to be more positive, even amidst when things are not how I want it to be or having moments of disappointment. A mindset I've been working on is simply just saying to myself, we can turn it around. And I know technically it's not grammatically correct, but when I say things like this, I think it's coming from a place of when I do have those moments, I'm more connected to who I believe my highest self is, and also what my faith is rooted in. Because at the end of the day, I believe a life of quality is a co-created effort. And with that, now it's time for the card pull. I'm using the self-care deck, but if you still want to click off because card readings are not your thing or not something you personally align with, but you still like other aspects of my content, thank you for listening this far, and be sure to come back next week and to follow the podcast to remain updated about new releases. Now, the card we received for this episode is 41 Positive Affirmations. Mantra. I speak to myself with love and compassion and extend it to all those I meet. Love yourself and speak to yourself as if you are the love of your life. Write yourself a love letter. Witness your beauty in the mirror and acknowledge it out loud. Or take note of positive compliments you received in recent times. Use these beautiful words to create affirmations that support and uplift you. Make speaking to yourself with love a daily practice. This practice requires a deep level of compassion for yourself, and keeping your internal dialogue positive can be challenging at times. Set up your phone background with a positive quote or inspirational message. Write empowering statements on sticky notes and put them around your house. Before you know it, everything around you will be reflecting this positive vibration. Say sweet things to others. Share heartfelt compliments with your friends and family. As you infuse yourself with love through positive affirmations, you radiate positivity out into the world and receive more love and positivity in return. Journal prompt. What thought patterns are preventing you from being positive all times when you speak to yourself? So, thank you for tuning into today's episode of A Little Atypical. If you found this helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share with someone who might need to hear this message. Remember to view the description box where you can find important links such as the one to my website where there's so much more bonus content. Until next time, have a good day, evening, or night, and stay authentically atypical. Okay, bye!